here with Ashley and Sarah Kendrick talking about the Brookside renovation and just can't wait to show you this house. But before that, I want to talk a little bit about just the specialness of the house and why they chose it and what they've done with it. So thank you so much for being here today.
Of course. Any excuse to hang out with you.
Love it. So tell me a little bit about just what kind of got your attention with this house. As a realtor, obviously you see houses all day, every day. So what was special about it?
For me, I'm really attached to this location first and foremost. Like just being able to, we like to walk this neighborhood a lot. We like to walk on the trolley trail. We like to go to Heirloom Bakery, Unbakery, you know, just the actual location. It's my home away from home.
Yeah.
So that was number one for me. I think you'd agree with that. 100%. And then of course, I mean, really I just wanted to be a part of the tiny house movement. And like, in the heart of Brookside, to be a part of the tiny house movement, that's kind of cool. This has a very small footprint. Which is nerve-wracking when you're spending so much money on a house because you're worried about that. But this functionally just floats so well with just over 1,000 square foot. It floats so well. And then I'm here because the way she transformed this design-wise, I think is one of my favorite projects she's ever done, and I just want to show that off and like toad on my wife a little bit because this house just turned out really cool.
So tell me a little bit just about what really stood out to you about this house.
Pretty much every investment property we look at, I want to buy.
Yeah,
but this house specifically, like she mentioned, the walkability to the Brookside shops and everything was the first initial appeal, but the second is it's got great curb appeal. It has this Cape Cod feel. It has a lot of original charm, and it had all of these nooks and crannies and architectural details that just were screaming to be highlighted. And I personally loved the challenge of taking a really tiny house space and trying to create function in each and every one of these little spaces. And I really feel like we were able to accomplish that.
In a way that doesn't make you feel like you're like in a tiny space, which I love that about this house.
So maybe walk us a little bit through, you know, your thought process for each of these rooms. Like you said, they're small, it's like no wasted space, but how was that when you were kind of thinking and creating those elements?
When we initially bought the house, we were not looking at it as a flip opportunity. We were looking at it as something that we were going to hold on to for a while. So we didn't have a max budget in mind, and we weren't thinking from what's going to be what buyers
what buyers want. It was like what we wanted to do with this house.
This is what we wanted to do with the house. So I started with the heart of the kitchen. I knew that I wanted statement countertops because the footprint was so small. I wanted the countertops to scream, I'm really special, and we ended up with this
She really spent some money on that rock.
I did, but it was worth it. It's the jewelry in that room. And I also wanted, it's kind of a mid-century style cabinet, but it has a very warm undertone that speaks to Brookside and pulls the two together.
I was kind of worried about the kitchen when we first bought this house because I didn't know how she was going to expand it in a way that felt functional as a kitchen. And to me, it feels as good as almost any kitchen I've sold around here in the end with how you designed it all.
Thank you. Yeah. So as you walk into the kitchen, there's this miniature room that doesn't really have a lot of function. It had a built-in china cabinet area that I ended up taking out completely. But opposing that was an area that you could definitely put in another set of cabinets. So that was one of the areas I was telling you about that I wanted to utilize all the space for storage because there's such minimal storage in the house. So you have very intentional areas. You have a drop zone area, which every house needs. You have a coffee bar with open shelving. And then I kept the existing floor plan the way that it was because I really liked walking into the kitchen and seeing the sink and making that my focal point, and open up the kitchen as much as possible with just putting in a vent hood and tiling.
She spent more money on the details in this one than what we usually do, and that was fun because you got to see her creative freedom, and there was not as many limitations. I mean, usually I'm like, okay, you have $36.12 to buy this thing. And in this one, it was like, you know what, design this house, and she really had a good time. And a lot of the thought process was, how do I want to create this space in a way that feels good to us, which is very different than I think most people are doing with this style and year of home. It doesn't feel like a 1923 bungalow in Brookside to me. It feels almost like mid-century European.
So I always try to keep the integrity of the different pieces of the character within a house where I can, but I also like to emphasize or highlight different areas. Also in the fireplace, I really liked the mantle and the stonework, but I wanted to add more of a visual statement to elongate the height of the room, and so I added shiplap and went with a darker color.
You Chip and Joanne that.
I did. I totally stole from Chip and Joanna for that. Thank you very much.
Oh, Joanna. Sorry, Joanne, if you're watching this. And she went super natural light on the floors, which I love because you got such a tiny space, and most of the time you see dark, dark, dark floors around here. So two things, we got very lucky that they were savable in a way that you could go natural on, because that's rare. And B, she didn't just slop down dark stain, she thought about it, and I'm glad you did that.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to go natural if, that sounds like a really dirty joke.
I hope that stays.
I like to go no natural.
Well, who doesn't? Let's talk a little bit about the entryway, if you can tell me more about that.
Sure. So when you walk into the house, you walk straight into the dining room, which originally, when we first were buying the house, it felt really tight and confined, and so I knew immediately that I wanted to minimize the amount of furniture in the space, and I wanted to put a statement fixture that wasn't overbearing.
So there's only one bathroom. What did you do with it?
So I decided to keep the layout exactly the way it was, but I wanted to add a statement shower surround that I hadn't gotten to use.
It is really
in other,
unique. Yeah.
It's a very unique glass shower surround that could be off-putting to some people, but I wanted to take a little bit more of a risk.
Sort of
than I
like for
normally
like the
would.
dancer, you know, like when you want to get in the shower and like dance. That's to me, that's how that shower.
I think that's all that's missing is a mirror ball.
Yeah, we should do that.
I think so too. So yeah, the bathroom is such a tiny footprint. I opened it up as much as I could by putting in an apothecary style open sink.
Another
to
reason why we're
stand.
here, like I really think it's cool to show off this house because I think every decision that you made felt very unique. And I show real estate all day long, so good job.
Yeah. And like you said, it was an opportunity to do some things maybe a little bit different, like that shower, like some of the other choices that you made with this house.
And I feel really lucky because I don't think a lot of realtors in the city have like an in-house designer that's got the eye for that. So like I just got lucky because I got to piggyback off of her eye over the last few years. And seriously, I'll have people text me all the time, like what paint color, what should I do here? And I literally just screenshot it and I like, it's like a secret of my business. And then I send it to her and she's like, oh, well you do this and this. And I'm like, bonus.
Yeah. So what's the extent of the design services that you're able to offer?
It's a good question. So it's everything from being able to hire me hourly to pick out paint colors and just quick Band-Aid fixes on room renovations, all the way to we offer in-house CAD design services where if you're wanting to tear walls out, we have a CAD designer that can actually put together architectural drawings to help you visualize the space more completely before you actually start
And
demo.
that's shockingly within a lot of people's budgets. It feels like this very like giant price tag that's like, but it's not. It's like really affordable and something that we do a lot. We utilize her a lot in-house, and
Almost
that's
every
been
project.
a great relationship.
Oh, that's so cool that that's available.
Yeah. On
And then
top of
just
that, we
years of great GCs, like years of building relationships with general contractors that do things in a way that doesn't break the bank, and bringing in her to work with them. She's got such great relationships with all of them now that's a huge, I think, asset to your design too.
Absolutely. There's something really invaluable about having the relationships in place and knowing their style. And when I meet with clients, I find out pretty fast when I meet with them what style of a contractor is going to be a good fit. And so I'll send those general contractors that I feel like are going to meet their financial, their personality, all of those different individual needs specific to those clients. So in addition to general contractors and our CAD designers, I also have really great relationships that I'm able to pass on my design discount for wholesale tile and appliances and different things.
And countertops and yeah.
Oh, very cool.
It's invaluable.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it sounds like you as a team are valuable.
We love what we do.
So is it bittersweet to sell this house?
I think probably she'll be in a fetal position later. Like, you just want the next person to love them.
100%.
You know, you just want to hand it to a person who's going to love it and take care of it, and that's 100% real. But no, we can let it go and do it again.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here today and just talking about this special project.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Good to see you.